I mean, you know, we have a parking lot that we use as far as I'm concerned, but the city has made no investment, no commitment to a public market kind of thing that would promote that type of food, that type of use, and that type of farmers within a 10-mile, you know, 20-mile region that would bring food in. So I read that and just see a big void.
When you look on page 18, you know, where they have a picture of a downtown farmer's market, you know, where it's basically a downtown street, and then there's some tables out in front, that looks really, looks like a possibility in Fargo. It almost looks
Well,
like
you should take public commitment and public, you know, kinds of infrastructure to help some of those things.
Great comment. Joe, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it seems like to me on that health section that, you know, people have less and less time in their day, and it seems like that the comment about access is the key element there, and where we're growing our communities, where they have access to those amenities, you know, right at their fingertips. You know, and I think it kind of comes down to, you know, back to my original comment on, you know, changing or transforming how we develop properties or neighborhoods or whatever it might be, or transportation facilities, so that access is at their fingertips, and as they go about their, you know, daily activities, what they have to be doing, they're also, you know, have access to those facilities, so maybe they're biking to work or whatever it might be, but it just seems that people have, you know, much less time for some of this stuff, but if we can kind of build our communities and grow it so that access is there, I think that would be a huge benefit.
Great. Well, thanks. I think we'll move down to the next one, transportation and infrastructure. Fargo will transform. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that particular word, but transform its transportation system to encourage walking, biking, and transit. The city will flourish with cutting-edge infrastructure for transportation, communication, energy, and all city services. You know, one of the things that I think is interesting, and partly I would suspect that you see the wording for this, is that a lot of the comments that we heard, and maybe it's more from young people, but it is this idea of maybe putting the focus more on the pedestrian, on the bicyclist, more emphasis on transit, a little less emphasis on the automobile. You know, one of the things I thought was, you know, very telling about this when we started this process, this is a young person's plan. We're looking 20 years in the future and beyond. And so a lot of us that may not like riding the bus, you know, we want to make sure we've got something in place, so when we're planning for it, those systems are in place when they are getting older and their kids may be having different values and attitudes about this. And does this make sense? Is this something that we want as a guiding principle?
I think one of the pieces that's missing here is you can have world-class infrastructure, but if you've got a light rail that doesn't have the density to support it, what good does it do? So I think that we may want to include, you know, we'll transform its transportation and land use system to encourage walking, biking, and transit. And I think that introduces another element than just the raw infrastructure.
Thanks, Mike. Good comment. Any other comments? We got a few minutes before I need to kick it over to the next segment. So if there are comments or concerns that you have that you think about later, by all means, let us know. We're not looking at this being the final discussion on this. The economy, I want to touch on that. Fargo's economy was built on exporting agriculture and manufactured products. In the future, Fargo will also be known as an exporter of ideas. The city will build on its diverse economy and develop its strong medical research and technology sectors. Fargo will continue to provide first-rate education and technical opportunities for the region. John.
I'd make two comments about that, Jim. First is, you talk about agriculture, and it's almost in the past tense. Fargo was built on agriculture. I think as we talk about what's happening now, the research and technology part, business, banking, and all the rest of it, we can't forget that agriculture is still a hugely important part of our city, and I think it deserves a little more attention somehow.
Kind of more of the current again.
In the verbiage, because agriculture is still a real fundamental for us. And the second comment I would make has to do with the last sentence. We talk about a first-rate educational system. I think it's better than that. I mean, if you look at public and private elementary and secondary education in Fargo, and you look at the impact of North Dakota State University, education also is huge, and I think we can brag about it to an even greater degree in the verbiage we use in this paragraph.
Thank you. Other comments?
John, would you go as far as to say something like Fargo perceives education as its primary role for economic development, along with technology, energy, agriculturing, and manufacturing?
Yeah, I mean, something like that, Mike. I just think it deserves heavy emphasis because of its importance. Heavier than maybe is expressed in this paragraph.
No, that's a great comment. Kelly?
I guess I'd like to see something added here too. It focuses so much on what we already are, but as far as promoting new businesses and entering into new ideas into the community.
Okay, good, good. Rocky?
Yeah, I just think one thing that's missing here has kind of been the biggest problem in North Dakota, and Fargo's kind of, we've been great at bringing young people in to educate them, but one of our greatest exports is our young people. They get educated here and then they leave for better jobs or whatever the case may be elsewhere. So I'd like to see something in here about retaining the educated people that we educate here, I guess.
Providing opportunities for those that were educated here.
Going off what Kelly said, you know, making sure there's jobs here that pay well enough to keep our educated young people.
And
Great.
I would emphasize Kelly's comment as well. I think that you're right on with economic development. Its importance needs
Great.
to be heavily emphasized.
I think entrepreneurship too, because if we're bringing these new people in, that we want them to start up new businesses, and that we're conducive to entrepreneurs.
Can I make one comment too, Jim? The one thing about, I know it says in here where it signals out medical research and stuff, and technology sectors. To me, any business, I mean, we want to grow. Who knows what the future holds? What's a small little business now that starts here? I think we don't want to restrict ourselves to, I know right now there's small areas, but I think we want anybody that wants to start a business, talking about entrepreneurs, we want to be a place where you would want to come, and we would encourage it.
Great ideas. I want to move on to the housing and neighborhoods. Fargo will promote attractive and welcoming neighborhoods by maintaining a diverse and affordable housing stock. Fargo will strive to support neighborhoods where residents can age in place, children can walk to school, and essential services are only a short walk away. Dan?
Yeah, I have a comment on the maintenance. I would, if we could, maybe have maintenance and development, not that we're just maintaining the affordable and diverse housing stock, but that we're also looking for development opportunities. The other thing that I thought of when I thought of this is, we've really prided ourselves on being a community that offers housing choices when people want to move in town, that they can move no matter what your background, your income is. You could choose which part of town you want to live on, whether it's the north, south, central. I mean, there's a lot of housing choice, I think, in our community that maybe many parts of the nation don't realize. And so, and then this is maybe more of a comment than anything else, but just, I'd say let's not understate the importance of fun and enjoyment that we, that makes living here fun and enjoyable, and the opportunities and being able to run to the park or go to the event that we were at last night or with the symphony. I mean,
We need
there's
to
just
add
a lot going on.
fun and attractive.
Yeah,
Okay. No, that's
right.
great.
No, I think
comment.
it's important.
There's a phrase in here that maybe it's because I'm not as young as I used to be, but age in place, that makes me feel uncomfortable.
I also question the appropriateness of that line. I mean,
John?
Well, and I don't know how to express this very well, but it gets to the point of old and new, older neighborhoods. And we talk all the time about all the development that's going on in Southwest Fargo. I think we need to continue to emphasize what I think the city has been doing a good job of emphasizing, and that is the importance of maintaining the strength and viability of the older parts of the
Right.
community, which for many people are more attractive than the new and glitzier.
Yeah, I think that's a great comment. I know some of the things that I've heard is that there seems to be a lot of emphasis southwest Fargo with a new development, and as a result, there's really not as much thought going into the existing neighborhoods in the northern part of town, and should we put some emphasis back on that? And I think this definitely hits that, but we want to make sure it covers all of our neighborhoods, both old and new. I want to wrap up with the last one that we have, infill and new development. Fargo will seek quality development over quantity by promoting infill and incorporating neighborhood centers planning principles into new development. Any thoughts or comments on that last one?
I'll just have
Jan?
one. Actually, when I looked at it for the first time, I was really surprised. It really didn't seem to stand out as a guiding principle to me. I thought it was something that perhaps could be filled into either the business economy section or the.
You a little closer to the mic, Jen?
I really wondered the value of keeping this out as a separate guiding principle. It seemed to me that it could have been incorporated more in neighborhoods or the economy. But that being said, I'll just quickly also add that something that I feel is left out is attention to the environment, I don't want to say the word green, but in terms of trees, which happens to be a big discussion right now, but the natural environment of our community, and also art, the aesthetics of our community. So I just wanted to add those two.
So maybe being a little more descriptive when we talk about quality, what that means. Okay. Jeff?
Go ahead. Good morning. Yeah, I just have a comment. First of all, I'd like to very much stand by Jan's comments. I'm a little uncomfortable with some of the language. I'm not exactly sure what we mean by quality over quantity necessarily, because I think that the quantitative part of that is densifying the downtown and infill developments. And part of the language that we don't see here is the multi-use, which is something that is certainly a buzzword for us now. And so I think we would want to examine it as part of the infill, how we take a look at getting that population density downtown, and how we incorporate the idea of that multi-use and you know, the commercial, residential, so forth, infill development. So overall, this I think it needs to be separate, but I don't feel that the statement itself really addresses some of the concerns.
I would just add that I agree with Jan and Jeff completely that this last paragraph deserves maybe a real rework.
Great comments, great comments. I think with that, for the sake of time, we really need to move into our next section. If you do have comments about any of these guiding principles, by all means, let me know, and we'll definitely get